It's an absolute pleasure to introduce our guest of honor at the launch of the new NDTV Profit, Sunil Bharti Mittal, founder and chairman of Bharti Enterprises, a leading corporation, a first-generation corporation with interests spanning from Airtel in telecom to Eutelsat in space communications, to digital solutions, real estate, and financial services. A pioneer in the telecom space, Airtel today has over 500 million customers in 17 countries across South Asia and Africa, making it among the top 3 players globally. Sunil Mittal has steered and enabled India's communications revolution, setting up for India's digital transformation, which is already yielding economic benefits and social equity benefits. Quite simply, Sunil Bharti Mittal, thank you for joining us today. Cannot emphasize it enough. You're a man who combines vision and tenacity in equal measure, if I may say that. And so we'd love to hear your thoughts on the theme of India Unlimited.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to join at the launch of new NDTV Profit. The theme India Unlimited is a very apt one for the present times, and I'd like to say a few words or give my thoughts on my area of business, which is in the area of digital and telecommunications. Today, when the world is struggling to find growth, leveling at around 3%, India is a bright spot amongst the global economy. We are still growing at 6.5% and hoping to up this growth factor by a variety of measures that are being taken by all stakeholders led by the government. Digital business in particular has seen a rapid rise in our country. In fact, it's becoming a global example across to see how a country, a nation, size of India with a population of nearly 1.5 billion people can move their agenda and economy and accelerate the same by the intervention of digital economy. In 2014, India's total contribution of the digital economy towards GDP was about 4.5%. Today we are at nearly 11%, and this is likely to go up pretty fast towards 15-16%. That is a mind-boggling number for any economy, but for an economy which is coming closer to $3 trillion, clearly this is a very, very vital part of our business today. Digital public infrastructure is being hailed and talked about globally. I have met so many heads of states across the world, especially in the developing world, who are wanting India to provide them the wherewithal, expertise, knowledge, software around their digital public infrastructure so that they too can service their economies and societies in an effective manner like India has done. And India is not just about soft side of the digital piece. It's also now about hard part as well. Manufacturing, which in my opinion seemed to have been a lost cause, has been reinvigorated by the current leadership. The government is determined to see India becoming a manufacturing hub. We also have tremendous momentum of becoming an alternate supply chain from China, and we are now seeing more and more production of digital products happening here in the country. All this augurs to my mind extremely well. Indians who are fast lapping up internet, with over half the population active at any point in time on internet, and more people joining this bandwagon, I think it's a clear sign that the digital economy will see India's growth rates at a much heightened level. What do you need to support a digital economy? One of the fundamental features and factors is a very robust telecom network. And I think that's where my company, Airtel, and a few of other significant companies have played a very vital role in putting out telecom infrastructure across the length and breadth of the country with the latest technologies, connecting fiber across the country, ensuring people can be on high-speed, low-latency data networks like never before. Yet there are parts of the economy, parts of population who still remain uncovered. And the government, through their variety of interventions and programs, including the USO fund, are ensuring that we reach those last lot of people to be brought onto the internet so they too can participate in the digital economy, sell their products and services, get to know what's going on, have interaction with the government in a more efficient and powerful way. Today, a number of government engagements with the society are built across digital India, and that, to my mind, is something that we all together need to come and ensure that are available to every citizen of the country. I'm also glad to inform you that my company led the charge on a LEO constellation through what was just mentioned, Eutelsat. OneWeb Eutelsat will ensure that any and everybody, anywhere in the globe, and of course all parts of India, are able to connect on a high-speed internet, be that very remote parts of Himalayas, deserts, deep forest, in the high seas, and of course in the skies. All will be able to connect through a very high-speed, high-quality internet. And this is possible now, it's not something in the future, and we are all hoping that we can provide these services in the coming weeks and months. All in all, India is poised extremely well on world stage. India's position is being celebrated. Our Prime Minister, who is a visionary, understands the power of digital interventions, and he has unleashed what started as a jam trinity, a revolution in the country, to my mind, which connects our financial system, our health systems, our education systems, our government services, including DBT, etc., to the last mile of this country. So I remain very optimistic, and I believe that India will rise to the occasion to ensure that it takes leadership in the next generation of technologies, whether it is AI or it is space technologies. India will participate shoulder to shoulder with the rest of the world. I would like to congratulate NDTV Profit for having launched their new version today to the country.
Mr. Mittal, you have captured it beautifully, but I'm going to try and dig deeper on a couple of fronts. The first being your experiences in this digitization of India journey, because you're a telecom leader, so you have a vantage view.
Well, the journey has been interesting. It's been a tough journey. As I said, India is a large country with a very diverse set of people. Population needs are different. The economic strata of society is at different levels. Everybody has to be serviced. Everybody has to be served. Everybody must access services. And more importantly, even the smallest constituent in the society should be able to have access to information, government services, and more importantly, able to sell his wares, however remote or far he is located, access capital, transfer monies in the easiest possible manner. We've all experienced standing in long queues for simple government services. Gone are those days. I mean, today, any and everybody from our villages get connected onto services, make applications, receive his forms, other authorizations, and it's all done beautifully well. So it's been a very, very powerful journey, so to say.
Rewarding as well at many levels. But the digital divide, yes, totally agree, it's narrowing, but it needs to narrow at a much faster clip. Can you think of something that could really accelerate the bridge or narrow the divide conclusively?
Well, there are two areas of work which honestly are getting the attention. One is coverage, to ensure that every citizen has a radio coverage. In some form or shape, they are onto the internet. That's the first requirement. That's a prerequisite for anything to be done for them on the digital economy side. I think the other part is digital literacy. Now that is still missing in large parts. It doesn't necessarily require degrees and a high level of education. It requires, I think, the sort of removing the fear of picking up digital tools. And thankfully, digital tools are very powerful now. They're very simple to use. They're intuitive. Very old people, young people, and children use it very easily. But for those who have generally been a little inhibited from the technology or digital technology, need to be provided education. And I think that is where some more work needs to be done.
Digital India in turbulent times. Digital in the hands of people to cope with trying circumstances. And COVID is what comes to mind. But I wanted to leverage your understanding of how a digital India can be a powerful tool in turbulent times.
Well, you mentioned COVID-19. I mean, in those 2 years, I think digital or the telecom networks played a yeoman's role. My God, I mean, can you imagine this world without digital tools or connectivity? It would have been would have been in a very difficult situation where there could have been more disinformation than help to our societies. Traffic moved from cities to rural areas. Traffic moved from offices to homes. Yet not for a single minute our country suffered, because the telecom networks moved the traffic. They worked day and night to ensure everybody stayed connected. New tools, new working tools came through, whether they were Zoom calls or team calls, or having proper work from home environment. Everything moved. Society moved. Economy moved. I think that's a very fine example of the power of a digital economy. And for this, I think we must give a very large credit to our Prime Minister, who ushered his program on Digital India right in the beginning. One of the key pillars, one of the 4 pillars that he spoke about, one of them was Digital India, because as the Chief Minister in Gujarat, he did use technology. Very earlier on, he connected every village through a satellite broadband. My company had done that program for Gujarat. So it's important for a leader to understand what are the limitations of a country and what are the strengths we have. The limitations was to build a hard infrastructure in this country would take decades, and thankfully that is accelerating, but it's going to take time. But the digital infrastructure could have been done in a short time, and I'm glad we did this, because otherwise we would have been caught napping during such a heavy crisis. And tomorrow, when you have now technology coming through with cyber crime increasing, privacy issues coming through, I think we have to play a very important role.
One final quick question. The next frontier, space technologies, satellite communications. I could mention AI and machine learning, but I'm prioritizing space technologies. How do you see that playing out?
Well, I mean, thankfully, India took very early steps in space. And I know there was some criticism earlier on. India has mouths to feed. India has a lot of other issues. How can they go into such expensive programs like space? But my God, I mean, glad that we did that, because that investment is today coming very handy. In 2020, when I was invited by the British government to lead the OneWeb out of bankruptcy, one of the comments made by the then Prime Minister Boris Johnson was, "You are a developing country, but you are a first-rate space power." That is very heartening to note. And we launched from India 68 satellites, 72 satellites actually, from the ISRO's rockets, GSLV Mark III. Flawless execution, wonderfully placed in the orbit. And that is the power of India. And there are a handful of countries in the world today which can do that. And thankfully, private sector is being invited into space technologies. I met the Skyroot CEO yesterday, the founder. They are building rockets. Hopefully, they'll build heavy lift very soon. So space is the new frontier, where every state actor and private sector are moving very fast. Billions and billions of dollars are being put into it. And I think India has a very, very strong role to play there. And I'm very pleased that there are new space policy which has been ushered. New FDI policy in space is being brought in. So I think in the coming years ahead, India will be a main actor in the space industry, so to say.
And you've already outlined quite clearly in our conversation today the benefits that accrue, even on the ground, for every citizen from space technologies and satellite communications. Sunil Mittal, thank you for joining us on the launch of the new NDTV Profit. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you.